Today, I found a very interesting post. The tweet basically reads, it's by Albert Mao, and he says, "My co-founder and I live in New York making $40,000 a year as YC founders, even after raising millions. That's $9.61 per hour, based on 80-hour work week. Many people think that if a founder raises millions, it makes them a millionaire. But here's the reality of being a founder. I'm on my parents' health insurance. I share a 1-bedroom apartment with my co-founder to cut costs. I eat microwave meals because they're fast and cheap. I take the subway everywhere instead of Ubering. We could be making 5 to 10 times more in our past corporate jobs." And then he basically ends it off with, I wanted it to be where we align all of our incentives to grow the company, and we wake up every day thinking about our users instead of how much money we're making this year. Founders need to be all in.
It's so funny actually, because even me myself, I'm actually on my parents' phone as well. I don't pay for my parents' phone.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, and even you got the car insurance from your parents.
Yeah, exactly.
So I just thought we would talk about this because the interesting perspective in this is we're co-founders. We just built a company. We took it from $0 to $100,000 a month. It's a software company. And so I think it would give you guys an interesting perspective because we can just like give you the raw numbers and the actual profit margins, and you'll be really shocked because of what these numbers are. And I really resonated with this post when I read it last night. And so I thought it would just be very interesting.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people think that just because you're a founder, just because you have a company, and even just because you made the revenue numbers that people talk about, 100 grand, 200 grand, you don't really see what's behind the scenes. We used to have a different company where even though we were making 300 grand a month, we were spending over 200 grand a month, or pretty much spending all of it that we were making. And this happens all the time. And so yeah, I think breaking down what we actually made and even like what's actually profit margins is actually super cool, because it will give you an insight in like what it actually takes, how much we'd be actually making, because I mean we pretty much don't make anything at this point ourselves.
Again, it was hyper relevant to me when I read that post, and that's why I thought it'd be good to talk about. So like, I would just like to go through the numbers so you guys know. You have to also understand why we're taking this bet that we're taking. So right now, we actually live in San Francisco. We have a small 2-bedroom apartment that's like $5K-ish a month. And our software, when we initially launched it, we were spending about $40,000 a month building it, because we hired a software development team, had some customer support, and then just focusing on building the software, and then personal expenses that both of us
and then
had.
trying to market it, of course. So development team, operations team, some customer support. Yeah,
and so that was around $40,000 per month. And then beyond that, what started happening was we did that for the first couple of months when we were building the software. So not only did it not make any money, but we were losing $40,000 a month. Now we had some of this money saved up from the past, and we were just taking a risk on this opportunity. And so it was like negative $40K per month. And then in June, we had done our first marketing and like started launching this product out. And in June, we made $6,000 in that month, but lost $36,000. So net $34,000 was like negative net. Then July, we did $10,000 in revenue from the software, and we lost net negative $30,000. Then in August, we ended up making, I think, a little over around $10,000, and it was still the same, around $30K. And in September, we made September was kind of crazy. We ended up hitting $120,000, and we thought we were gonna have a lot of profit that
like,
month.
oh yeah, we're good. We can just hire a lot of people, no problem, right? Not the case. And just to give you guys some context, the money that we're using is all bootstrap money. It's all us. So me and Kazi put all of our assets together. He had his own business, I had my own business, and we just decided to go all in on this, and not VC money, not nobody's money, our money that is just constantly being fed into this product.
Yeah.
But yeah, after the 100K, we made 100K, and then what happened after that?
So on $120,000 income, our expenses scaled. It's so weird, but our expenses scaled, and our expenses were $105,000 that month. So the profit was $15,000, and that $15,000 we put back into the company. We did not take it out. So we haven't been paid personally yet in a really long time. My personal bank account just overdrew the other day. It just went into negative, and so we have to figure that situation out. But that's what happened on $120,000. $105,000 was expenses. And then September, October, we made $60,000. And on $60,000, it was break even, October. And then November, we did $60,000 and we actually lost $10,000 because expenses were 70. Overall, the software has been break even / made a little bit of profit for us. You know, it's like if we actually do the math of what our hourly rate comes out to be, I would imagine it's below $9.61 an hour
at $0
right now because we're not getting paid. So it's but it would be equivalent of like $9.61 an hour. So let me ask you, why are we working at, let's say, $9 an hour right now?
Yeah, it's a good question because we can technically go to any job and be making a lot more money, right? This is a good question for anybody who's going to listen to this and you want to figure out if you want to get into YC or do you want to do startups. For me specifically is I just love the act of building something. I love the act of the unknown, the act of trying to build something that I really, really care about. It has always been my dream at some point in my life to actually build a product that not only do I use, but other people can use. And as cool as it is to work at a company, yes, and we could be making a lot of money. And hence, the crazy part is if you're a developer, because you're a developer as well, we can always go back to our jobs. We can always go back and do other things. Yeah. But what's exciting right now is like how can you be pushed to the limit? What can you continue to do? Like how can you continue to optimize your own possibilities, what you're capable of? And that's always in my mind. It's like, what am I actually capable of? And that is what I want to get to. And I think that's the reason why I'm doing it. And I know it's partially the reason why you're doing it as well. Yeah. I mean, that's a big reason why. But yeah, that is my reason why I'm doing it.
Yeah, that's amazing. And yeah, I feel like the potential here, if we put it into numbers, you know, this is why I love our dynamic, because he'll always give you the heart and I'll always give you the data. Yeah. When I hear him say realizing our full potential, it's like if we want to play to make $1 billion, yeah. This is a good play. Like we're building this company because would it be $1 billion? It could be. Yeah. But it could also be 10 million, $100 million, because the other businesses that we were building were cash flowing businesses. So he had a software agency and that was cash flowing, you know, the 30, 50K a month. I don't know. So maybe some months you hit higher numbers, some months you hit lower numbers. I had a cash flowing business with Clever Programmer where we were teaching people how to code and learn coding and YouTube channel. The problem was it wasn't like a sellable asset. Max somebody would pay is the same amount of money it makes in a year. So let's just say in a year it made 1 million or 1.5 million. Somebody would like at most pay 1.5 million to acquire it. And even if they did, they would still need me to run it because I'm the face. And if you lose the face, you lose the company because it has value, but it doesn't have that much value without me in there as the face. And if you take a software agency, it has value because you could plug Nas out of it and it could still kind of run. But the problem is that it's going to have a cap. There's so many software agencies. When you sell a software agency, it's going to have a max cap of like maybe 2x, 3x, maybe 3x. Agencies usually have a very high churn. The service cost is really high. And so margins can be nice, but generally they're not that high. And so it's like, if you're going to build something that's not going to have crazy high profit margins, and then also it's not sellable, like that's not exciting. But, you know, going into the hard part of it, even outside of all the money part of it, it's like building something is just amazing. Yeah. Like being able to code something or build a product from scratch and then people using an app that you've built
every
is
day.
Freaking amazing.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, what we had courses. I mean, we worked together too, Nas, beforehand, like in Clever Programmer. And it's like you build these courses and yeah, people can watch the course, but people watch a video once and that's it, right? They move past it. When you build a product, we see customers coming back and using it every single day. Right now, you know, I know because if founders are watching this video, that's why I want to say some stats too, because I'm excited when I'm watching it. So it's like right now our DAU, a daily active users, is 25%. So we just broke 1,000 customers, and imagine this, 25% daily active users. So out of 1,000, 250 use the product every single day. Dude, our daily active use for our course was probably less than 1%. because of video. So people are consistently using it. So it's like, and then the thing is that we learned this from our good friend Cliff Weitzman, who runs Speechify, which has over 45 million users. And he said, forget about product market fit, focus on product founder fit. And that's what he focused on. So he built a product not for people, he built a product for himself. And then he just sold the living shit out of it because he believed in that product so fucking much. And we were jealous of him on that call. And I just remember being envious of him. I'm like, we need a product that doesn't cash flow, a product that we would use ourselves. And then we obsessively worked on this thing and built it. And we use it to this day. Even when it was not selling, we just kept thinking there's something wrong with the people for not buying it. We're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You're not buying it. You just don't understand it.
Why are you not buying it? Come on.
So I'm gonna turn it over to you, but it's like, we believed in the product. That's what got us to continue building it. So the product founder fit kept going. And right now, even though we're not yet profitable, but I have belief in it, plus the data trajectory of the money is going up really high. And I feel like at some point, if we want funding, we can get it.
It's like the bigger the risk, the bigger the reward type situation. The question becomes is, what kind of reward do you want? For some people, I think they're happy with a normal job reward, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Because being a founder is also fucking hard. It is also a lot of time you're questioning, are you doing the right thing? What the fuck are we doing? So the amount of times that we have a conversation together about like, bro, what are we doing? Like, what is the next step we need to be doing? Wait, why did this make money? How do we make more money? What is the right next step? It's a consistent question that we have no answers to, and we just kind of have to go blindly. And it's kind of, you brought up this great idea, which is like, it's kind of like you go into a cave and you have a flashlight, right?
Flashlight. Bro,
What?
you said flashlight.
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 Yeah,
I think it's just because we've been saying flashlight so much. That it's just...
Fucking nasty guy. But like a torch, and you kind of have to, you have no idea what's in front of you. You have no idea what's down the line into that, in that tunnel, but you kind of like going this direction. Oh, what is this? And you kind of bring it up. Oh, this is interesting. Oh, there's something here. And then like let's see, maybe there's something there. Let's try to go there. And like you go there, right? Oh fuck, there's nothing here. Fuck, we just lost a fuck ton of money. Okay, let's just go there. You know, so that is a consistent process that we go through on a daily basis. Even like today, we're like, oh fuck, like, do we want to focus the team back on influencers, or or do we want to focus on making more content? Like, should we just go? Should we go to New York? Should we not go to New York? Consistent process. And I feel like that is what you pay. That is what you pay, or that is what you pay to get the potential reward in the future. Is this uncertainty. And so I think it becomes to that. It's like, what reward do you want? And I think for us, it's like, I want a huge reward personally. And yeah, this is fucking difficult, but it's also fun.
I would argue that the bigger, like, what's actually the bigger risk? So there's a bigger risk to go all in for what you believe in and potentially lose some money in the process and have a life of somewhat uncertain, or maybe high levels of uncertainty, or guarantee that you'll never go for what you want and then be 90 years old and regret. I would say that it's a bigger risk to not take the risk, as weird as that sounds. I think it's a bigger risk to be golden handcuffs, be at a nice job, stuck 9 to 5, grow old, watch other people do what you do, live through reels, watch everybody else winning and getting what they want. Worse, watch other people pursuing passionately what they want, while you just sit idly by like a fucking cuck, like watching everybody else just like chase your passions and quote unquote like fuck your passions. Like, why? Don't be a life cuck. This should be a theory, bro. Don't be a life cuck. Like, you're literally just watching somebody else like absolutely rail your passion in front of you, and you're like, why is this happening? So my theory is just like to really chase your passion as vigorously as you can, because that's where I get my fulfillment out of. I asked myself this question. I think I was asking this to Nas as well at some point. It's like, imagine this, and maybe your answer is different. So based on that, you might be different. So if you're watching, this is an important question for you to answer for yourself. Imagine I could come to you and I said, hey, I will guarantee you at the end of your life, you will become successful. Okay, I will guarantee you success, or at some point in your life, I will guarantee you that there will be success. So you can either have that life. Okay, so God comes to you and asks you and gives you these options. So you guaranteed have success. You're guaranteed going to be rich. You're guaranteed it's going to happen, and it's going to happen before you're even like 40 years old. Guaranteed success, and you can have everything that you ever want. And God gives you an option. You can be born with that choice. Okay, you can start a life with that choice, or God could give you a second choice, which is you will have an insane amount of uncertainty. you will never know if you're going to succeed or not. And there's actually a very high chance that you actually might never ever succeed. Like actually there's a higher probability of you never succeeding. Your path will be filled with insane amount of obstacles, insane amount of problems, stress, and you will never know if you're going to succeed on this path. Which path do you take out of those two? Of option A and option B, which one do you take? And maybe I'm a masochist, but the way I feel like I'm wired is without hesitating, the first answer that comes to my mind for this is to choose the path of uncertainty that gives me the option of never actually being successful. And there's something that just it's the privilege of stress and uncertainty that I feel that I get. And that's actually where a lot of my highs and lows come from. Because there are times where I'm just nothing but winning and everything just works and it's easy. I actually lose interest. I'm not interested in that. It doesn't excite me. So that uncertainty and that stress is what actually drives me, what feels like a privilege, regardless of the reward. Reward makes it better, but regardless of the reward.
I'm really curious sometimes, why is it that? And I'll just ask you a question, which is, why do you think we are like that? Why do you think that when we see success or when we see something happening, what is that drives us to be like, oh, we don't know what's out there. We don't know, like, are we gonna succeed? Are we going to not succeed? We have this constant either uncertainty, constant stress around different things, and yet we're like, here, let's try to figure out what's out there. Let's try to see what's out there. I feel like, for example, for me personally, why I continue. Well, no, I really wanted to do this and I'll continue to do this is I've been on the other side. I've been on the other side of like working at a company, a steady paycheck, steady pay job. And that's fine. And again, depends on you, depends on who the person is. You can also be very successful in a steady job and you can be super happy, and that's okay. But I was on the other side and I wasn't happy at all. I was working at a company and at some point I just hit a limit of like, oh, I hit my limit of what I can do there. I'm not learning anymore. I can't make any more money than what I want. And so I was like, and I felt like I just wasn't growing as a person. And so I think what drives me a lot is like, I just want to continue to grow. And there's something super exciting where like, by the end of your life, let's just say, you're like, oh, I tried so many different things.
Yeah.
I learned so many different things. And then maybe not only did I learn it, but I also passed them on to people as well. That is like that's a big driver for me, for example. The money is like a big goal, yes, but it's like, if I think deeper, it's actually not so even much about that. It's like the process of just learning every single new skill, building a company, hiring employees, how do you market a product, how to get the product to be loved by everybody and be used by everybody, right? All of that. There's something exciting about that. And I know I will never run out of time of, oh, I've hit my limit.
Yeah.
There will never be a limit. The limit will be when I die, I feel like. So that's my thought on that. Yeah. I'm curious what you think about that.
I love it, and it triggered a thought in me. So speaking of limits, so there's a couple of things I want to talk about. I want to talk about fair games and simple games. And I've always wanted to play a fair game my entire life. Any game that I play, I like to play it completely. Like, for example, sometimes even in FIFA, if somebody's been playing longer than you, they have like more, they can even spend money and get messy, and then they just play you. You just started, you have like shitty players, and then they just beat you. And to me, that doesn't feel like a fair game. Now, what is a fair game? Checkers is a fair game. Tic-tac-toe is a fair game. Chess is a fair game. And I love all of those. The problem with checkers and tic-tac-toe is they're simple games. They're solved, which means, yes, you get a fair opportunity, but if you play it the right way, the max potential you have in tic-tac-toe is you guys will both draw forever, right? Like, it's always a tie. Like, if you're playing anybody above the age of 3 years old and that has like more than one brain cell, it's almost always going to be a tie. And so that's the problem that happens with some of these simple games, and checkers is kind of like that too. What I love about chess is you have 8 pieces, I have 8 different pieces, right? 16 in total. And when we start, your pieces move exactly the same way as I move. However, there are an infinite amount of possibilities of moves that exist. And I get to make the mistakes. I get to learn why something is right or wrong. There are general principles that apply, but I get to explore it. And the beautiful thing is I can start the exploration today and continue for the next 90 years, die, and still not even be like 1% close to really understanding how chess works.
So.
That is absolutely incredible. That is amazing. I would have easily worked at a job, but at a job, if I think that we should hire this person and we can't because the boss disagrees or somebody else subjectively disagrees, even if they're making the right decision, wrong decision, you have to go with what they're saying because there's bureaucracy and politics involved. I just cannot stand that. Half the reason, or a lot of the reason I'm an entrepreneur is simply because of the hate that I have for the other bullshit. It's like, yo guys, we're trying to win, but you guys don't want to make the right move because it's gonna upset your wife, and we can't do this because you're upset, or your wife will get upset at this. Like, what is going on? And so that would drive me crazy. And so I feel like majority of it is keeping it, like doing things that are fair, and then having it have the chance of infinitely scaling. And so in business, as co-founders, like, we get to make the mistakes. We think that we should do affiliates, or we think we should go, because right now our goal is to get 1,000 affiliates in 90 days. So I want to keep dropping tactics for you guys too, right? Like, we pulled 100K from one fucking TikTok. Like, it's stupid. You can do that too for your software. And that happened off of one thing. And it was just like Nas randomly reached out to an influencer. And so it's like, that's a random strategy. If he was at a company and there was bureaucracy, they would be like, we're not going to pursue this. We're not going to put the budget on this. And he just might not be able to do it. So we're getting to do it. We're getting to learn. But this is like we're sacrificing a queen to get the fucking king.
Yeah,
This is like a queen sacrifice.
Exactly.
Like, we're giving it our all. But if we fuck it up and we mess it up, I mean,
We're
still not done because we're learning so much.
Yeah.
Like, I can always just get a 150K job as a developer. That's my backup. I am the motherfucking backup, right? Like, he's the motherfucking backup. Like, we're the cash runway because we have so many skills.
Business is like a game of chess, and I think that's what you're playing the whole time. The unknown, the potential that if you're losing, you could then win, but you can also be losing at the same time constantly. That's also a possibility too, right? You just never know. But yeah, I think with that, all that said, I also strive a lot because of what I had before, which is the crazy part. I also hated the bureaucracy. I also hated working for other people. I was like, you guys are just not doing it right. You guys are not marketing this product correctly, or like, we are not building this product in a way that's actually gonna make the customers use it. And it's like, and I couldn't do anything about it. I fucking hate that. So actually, I remember saying this to a long time to myself, which is like, at one point in time, I just want to build a product and I can want to market it and actually be fully not in charge of it, but like be the reason why this either fails or this succeeds.
Yes.
That's the biggest thing for me.
Agreed.
And I think it's something that a lot of founders also have to ask themselves, which is like, do they want to go through all of this stuff? And even though, yes, you can have a lot of money through IC. That's another big thing I want to bring up, actually. You can have a lot of money through IC, and you can be like, oh, okay, I just got myself 500 grand to build a product. There's downsides to that too. We had one friend of ours who, I won't name him, but he got into IC, got 500 grand. And after he got that 500 grand, the amount of stress that he had on himself, he told us he couldn't handle it. He was like, I was starting to get dizzy. I was starting to lose vision. I was constantly stressed thinking about what to do. Yeah. And he actually ended up giving it all up.
And so I think I would love to talk a little bit about funding as well, because if you're watching this video, you want to be a founder, or you are a founder, and funding and those things is something you're interested in. Our cash runway right now is, we have $30,000 about business that are in the bank, and our expenses this month are projected to be around 50 to 60 grand. You feel that stress? And
I'm so happy.
yeah. And so we made like a little fear scale of where we are on the fear scale, and we put 1 through 10. And so Nas puts his fear, and he put it at like a 6. And my fear right now is at a 3. And what happens is, like, that is also important when it comes to funding and things like that, because, and that's also something interesting, because if we're operating, let's say we both were at a 10 out of 10 fear, that's a pretty good place to take funding. Because you both will literally not be able to operate. Like you can't it's a level of stress where you can't operate anymore. But I would say like getting to a fear of 8 or 9 is good, because the last time I was in it at Clever Programmer, out of nowhere we ended up closing $150,000 in 1 month, because you just do stuff that you would not do. We got on calls with like 100 customers in a span of like 2 weeks, me, Nas, ourselves. Like we would take on 20, 30 calls a day with customers one-on-one, like face-to-face, onboard them onto the product. Louis, who's actually helping us record this right now, he became a customer, and you got a call from us too. And so it's like we did that. Had we had funding and we had a couple of million in the bank account, there's no way we would do that. Okay. We would be working on higher level things. When in reality, there's really nothing higher level than actually talking to the people who are paying you money to be fucking alive and work on the product and do that. And so there's nothing more important than them. So there's something beautiful that aligns you when you actually have not daddy's money coming in. Okay, when you have daddy's money coming in, it sometimes can misalign you. So you have to be careful. Even YC Combinator people themselves, I forget that guy's name, but he's like a brown dude. He's kind of like a little chunky fat guy. He's like tall. He's a YC Combinator guy. He's always doing YouTube videos for them. Advice he was giving. So his advice was really good. He himself was saying that he's like, funding is like taking poison. He's like, you want little poison or you want a lot of poison? He's like, you decide. And you have to be really sure. Like I want to be, that's at least what I think. Okay. I have not taken funding. I haven't grown a company to $1 billion, but I have some experience. So like the closest experience I have to funding is for sponsorships. When we were closing for Clever Programmer on our team, we closed $1.5 million in 90 days. Like, and I just had like, that was the first time I saw $1 million liquid sitting in my bank account. That was the first time I saw 2 commas, and I just keep refreshing, and I'm like, this does not feel real. And I was like, this does not feel real. Like, what the hell's going on? Like, how did this happen? And what it led to was I was like, all right, you know what? Today I'm going to do a little work-life balance. And I decided my girlfriend and I deserve a little movie night tonight. The next day we worked, but then I was like, you know, I started reading books on 4-hour work week. I started like trying to put another person in place to work for me. And so I started hiring an operator. I started working less in the business. So the growth started getting less, plus the expenses started getting more, plus I started getting sadder because the thing that was bringing me so much fulfillment, I started doing less and less of, because I'm just like, we got $1 million in the bank. Who cares? And so I feel like if you're gonna get funding, my thought process is know exactly what it's for. So right now, if we are doing these affiliate deals and we're like, okay, we got to make 30 to 50 affiliate deals, it's going to cost us probably 50 grand or 100 grand this month. Yeah. I think if we're going to grab funding, grab precisely that. Grab 100 or 200.
For a specific purpose.
For a specific purpose. Because then I don't want to give away stupid amounts of equity. Like if we get funding and we give away a wrong amount of equity, it's irreversible for the rest of our lives. What I mean by wrong equity is there's different types of, you can't like kind of take it back, or you have to buy it back. I mean, you can buy it back. It's not irreversible, but if you spend the money, then you can, right? Yeah. I feel like funding is also really good to take for really investment heavy businesses. So think Instacart, think Uber. These are really investment heavy because,
or physical businesses.
Or even physical businesses. Like if you have a drone company or like a real estate AI company but it requires like putting together deals that build homes. You need big injections of capital for this. For what we're doing for software, we don't actually need big injections of software. We just need to like scale the marketing more and do a better job of marketing. And the problem is that by getting more funding, it doesn't fundamentally solve our problem. Like we still have the same problem of like trying to figure out how to be profitable. All it might do for us is buy us a little bit of more time. But time purchased without a specific cause is going to lead us to the same exact problem again. And so I feel like you have to be careful when you're taking funding. If you think about Instacart or Uber Eats, the reason why they're so investment heavy is because you got to build a two-sided marketplace,
which is super difficult.
So you don't only get users, you got to get drivers. Yeah. And you got to hit a volume that's so high the network effect kicks in, where like the app actually becomes valuable. It's not valuable until there's a high amount of drivers and a high amount of people who want it. Yeah. So imagine an app that on day one has zero value. It has no value because there are no drivers and there's no. And so then you got to spend so much money on ads. You got to spend so much money on marketing, SEO,
all those two sides
to
together,
get a massive amount of interest. You're building a giant wait list with essentially just a promise and nothing to give them. So that's hard, and that is really capital intensive. And of course you have to execute it right and all that stuff. But our product isn't capital intensive, as in like you can just purchase it today and start using it. And it doesn't cost us almost anything.
Yeah.
Our costs are the equivalent of like, shipping on demand. It's like once somebody purchases, then you print out the shirt. It's not like we need all these shirts beforehand. We don't have inventory, right? You buy it and you only pay for the product that you use. And so to me, it felt like if we're going to get funding, we should have it for very specific reasons. We're at a point where we're considering it at this point, and we're starting looking into it. The last thing I just wanted to say, and maybe I won't finish it, but let's talk about I want to talk about active investors versus passive investors versus strategic investors. Go ahead.
Yeah, you can talk about that, so don't forget about that. But I think initially when we were building the company and we didn't really have that many specific needs for investors, because we were just trying to figure out a fit. Like we were trying to figure out would people actually buy this product. And I feel like that it didn't feel right for us to take investor money just to figure out if people would actually buy this product.
Yeah, if there was even a product market fit.
there was even product market fit at all, right? But now that we have a product market fit, now the fact that we do have people buying the product, not only buying it, using it and loving it and consistently just making even reviews on it, making content on it without even us asking questions, that to me is telling that the fire is burning. And so it's like now the question becomes is how do we put more fuel in the fire? Now granted, yes, we do need to be profitable with that fuel. That is true. But sometimes you kind of need to have put a little bit too much fuel a little bit to get the fire burning, right? But then once it's burning, you could find profit. You could find profit there potentially even easier. Like if we spent $100,000 or $100,000 and in a wise way on influencers, there's gonna be few influencers that will go viral, that will make us over $100,000, right? But to find that one influencer who will make $100,000 would take $100,000 potentially. Could, exactly. So that's, I think, the reason why now we are actually considering doing funding, because we know what has worked, we know it's working, we know that people love it, and now the question is like, okay, let's put more fuel in the fire, let's drive this even harder, and go from there.
And this is really important because if you're like us and you have a co-founder or you're just a solo founder, you've probably thought a lot of times like, should I take funding? Should I not take funding? What's the framework to think about funding? And we're struggling with these questions every single day. And so we're forced to come to an agreement. And the way in which we can do that is to logically have it make sense on paper, which forces you to develop strong frameworks around it. And so one of the frameworks we started developing is passive investors versus active investors. And what I realized is a lot of my fear around taking funding is giving away control to somebody who doesn't really add value in the product, because essentially you're like, hey, somebody take a bet on me and we can make this work. And my argument is no, I really think we can just take a bet on ourselves and we can make it work without even giving away anything. Because otherwise, if somebody's just giving us money, I see it as them giving us a loan. I'm like, it's no different than a loan. The only difference here is you don't have to give it back. But to me, it doesn't matter. I just feel morally, I would never be able to be okay with it. There's a lot of things I'm okay with. Yeah, so when it comes to actual investments, I want to get an investor that can help us grow the company, because I realized we were speaking to somebody and this person had amazing energy and she was smart and she had so many ideas for how we can grow. Plus she had grown her business to over $5 million a year profitably, and she was looking to build a software, and I've known her for years, and that felt like, oh my God, maybe she could be a great equity partner or whatever and work with us. And at that point I was like, oh, I actually don't mind giving her equity, because I realized I'm like, give away half of my equity to this guy, and I'm like, that's fucking amazing. And it's the product would have never happened if Nas was not involved. It would just not happen. Yeah. And so I'm okay with more investors, aka more maybe even co-founders, but I feel like actually that I'm saying this, I'm realizing I would want more co-founders, not just more investors.
More value.
They're in it. Yeah. They're in it, and that to me feels amazing. Or they can bring a lot of direct value, not I know a guy that might know a guy and I'm famous and that type of thing. And there's a lot of people who will do that. And so it's but if somebody's I literally know these 20 influencers that tomorrow or today we can plug them in.
They can print money.
And you guys can just start printing an extra 50 grand a month this month, 100 grand a month. It's okay, that is huge.
Yeah.
And I am more willing to accept them as somebody who we give equity to without them even paying us money first. The only way I would accept like another investor, like that's completely passive, is if we're just literally like we can see that we're out of money or about to run out of money.
Just not far off.
Right, like worst case. Oh, that's another thing I think founders should know, because you should have your worst case scenario written out clearly. So worst case scenario, his personal expenses can go down to like 5 or 6K. My personal expenses can go down to 5 or 6K, or even less. Like worst case scenario, we can let go of every single person on our team.
Yep.
We can let go of our apartment in San Francisco.
Let go of developers.
We can sublet our apartment, even though it's technically not the right thing to be able to do, but like we can do it. We can let go of all our contractors. We can move back in with our parents. We can move in Michigan, or we can move in LA with one of our parents, and just still keep doing the same shit that we love to do every single day. Like honestly, not much would change. We would just still continue growing the company. Our days would look exactly the same. We don't flex. We don't enjoy materialistic things. Like we enjoy it to a certain point, but it's not to a point. Like our day to day is 15 hours in front of a computer. Okay. Would we eventually like if we had a Lambo on the side? Yeah, I think that'd be cool. But we wouldn't be spending 15 hours in the Lambo or partying.
Yeah,
we'd be
but
spending
it's not what drives us.
It doesn't.
Honestly. It doesn't drive me nor you, honestly.
Yeah.
Like a lamp or shit like that.
Exactly.
I haven't thought of that kind of stuff too much, honestly. Of like, oh, I'd love to have a Lambo at some point.
So worst case scenario is parents.
Yeah, worst scenario is parents, and just letting go of a big part of the team. Yeah, and it might just put a little bit more work on us, but that's it. And it's not like we can't do the work. That we pretty much started with that. We started with just you, me, Amanath, which is another operations, really important operations guy who works with us. And like that's it.
Yeah.
We didn't really have that many people. So yeah, I think on that note, it's very cool the process we're going through. What the positive thing of what we're doing right now is that we're seeing some kind of light there. There's a little light at the end of the tunnel that we don't know what it is, but it could be big. And that's the reason why we're even continuing to pursue this product and this and this idea. The thing is, like, it's just figuring out how to get closer to that light, and that's the process that we're going to be continuing to go through, and continue to go through the pain. And hopefully that, I mean, not hopefully, but I think 100% we will fucking actually get there, because we've done it already. Like we did in 1 month, like in span of like 30-day difference, we went from 10K to 100 grand. So what that told me, it's possible we can now just do more.
Hopefully this video is valuable. I would say I think it would be amazing to just develop a community of founders around us, and love to chat with you guys and brainstorm. Like we don't want to be experts. We just want to share what's working for us, and maybe you're even ahead of us. I would love for us to just be able to share our journey. So in the comments, like literally share if you resonated with it, if you cared about this. Like it's crazy, but you might watch this. Like this video is gonna go on to probably get like 97 views probably total. And if you're one of those people that watch it, there is a chance there's one person that found it valuable, and you might be like, oh, other people have seen it. If I comment, are they even going to see the comments? Would it even matter? Yes, it actually matters.
We will see the comments.
It's the early days of this channel, so it really matters. Like for the channel and our content, it is a huge deal for us if we see a comment from you, because it will make me and Naz look at it and go, oh, we should actually shoot more of this. Even though I got 97 views, like Bob really gives a shit. And we will just continue making more of this for you, because outside of that, it doesn't make us money. It's not tied into our business. We're not even selling our product with this. But it will be something that's, just gives us a lot of motivation, like seeing a comment. So if you watch this and you're the 87th view and you're like, please leave a comment, like something that you found valuable, or like anything that you want to talk about, really. And then that could be the start of building this into a community. Hope you found this valuable, and we love your face.
Thank you so much. Have yourself a good day.
We'll see you in the next video. Peace.